This talk is supported by Small PDF, the successful Swiss scale-up making PDF easy for over 1 billion people around the world since 2013. You may remember them from a previous podcast we hosted with their CEO, Dennis Just. Their mission is to make PDFs and life easy for people across the world, a mission made possible with their 90-plus amazing employees across Zurich, Belgrade and Barcelona. If you want to join this fast-growing Swiss scale-up, visit smallpdf.com/Swisspreneur and apply.
56% of the women in Switzerland, they can't take financial care of themselves.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Sylvan.
Patrizia, a warm welcome to the Swisspreneur Show. It's a pleasure and honor to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
You are a business journalist, but also the CEO at elleXX, an independent money media platform for women. And before we talk about your new venture, I want to start with your personal background. You actually studied business administration, and then you went on to become a journalist. And why didn't you start your business right after your studies? What was so appealing, so attractive in the journalism part?
Yeah, actually, I finished my studies in the middle of the dot-com crisis. And I was always a great admirer of Robert Shiller, the Nobel laureate, and about his work, about the irrational exuberance at the stock markets. And I just wanted to understand why we always have these crashes and irrational exuberances. And journalism was really good. Yeah, good profession to get into these topics and understand it more profound. And on the other hand, founding was not really an option because I didn't know any founders myself personally, not to speak of female founders. This was really, 25 years ago, there was no Swiss startup ecosystem, nothing. And actually, I remember my first years of studies, I didn't even have a phone.
Wow. Yeah, these were different times. Exactly. In that regard, the entrepreneurial path was not really a career choice at all back then. Not
at all. And the role models have been missing all around, and it wasn't really a topic. It wasn't incentivized by the universities or by incubators or big corporates. Yeah, it wasn't a choice even.
Right. You then spent 17 years at the Swiss SRF, at the radio and TV company, the federal one. And during your time there, you actually also traveled all the way from Iran to North Korea. You also covered events like the World Economic Forum, the Swiss Economic Forum. So I wonder, what are some of the greatest memories that you have from your time back at the SRF?
Yeah, so many crazy memories. You're right. This was extraordinary time, and the media back in those times, the media industry, they still had budget to really produce this series about foreign politics, policies, or countries, and it was completely different time. And I remember very well, for example, in North Korea, I even remember a sentence, Taoi Ni. It means something like, are there any candles? Because we always experience power shortages all the time. And yeah, it was even the flight there. It was so strange. We had to enter the country via Beijing. We couldn't come from Seoul, obviously, even if there is a few kilometers from the border, Seoul, but we had to fly with a blacklisted airline, North Korean airline, to Pyongyang. And yeah, it's really unimaginable anymore. You have to imagine we had to hand in all our handies for 4 weeks, and we didn't have any contact to anyone, so completely isolated. And I was pregnant back then in the 5th month, and it was like 4 weeks, no sign, nothing. So very special. And all the time we had these 14 supervisors around us. Then they tried to show us all the ideal and role model people and farmers. But I remember this basically ideal farmer family there. They showed us around, and they were like eating potatoes, only potatoes every day and nothing more. And you can imagine how the marginalized and people there who they sent to the camps or to the mountains, how they have to live. On the other hand, in Pyongyang, you had this elite with wearing Rolexes, having all these Chinese flat screens, TV screens, and drinking Coke. So it was really a big difference. And they have built Luna parks with European companies together. And actually a lot of European companies involved in the business there, building up the business. Yeah, and after all this time, actually the kind of scary thing was when I visited the dentist with my oldest son, and the dentist asked me, what happened in the 5th month of pregnancy? Did you have malnutrition or stress, or what happened? Because exactly these kind of teeth, they're completely bad.
That's quite an experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's much more than the journalism was much more than just learning about the business world and the stocks and everything, but it also really shaped you and your life, basically. And I also wondered then in 2020, you actually decided to leave SRF and you switched to CNN Money Switzerland. First of all, what actually motivated you to that decision? Did you, get all the learnings that you were looking for and now it was time for a change, or what actually motivated you for that change?
Yeah, I think first of all, it was like a unique and sensational opportunity to work together with a bunch of amazing people, especially women, female journalists, moderators, and journalistically to talk and report about the topics, SDG topics. Sustainable Development Goals was really the journalistic approach of CNN Money, and I really loved that and experienced it. And also they worked very close with the World Economic Forum and had a lot of topics and reports and research they covered. So I was very interested in this kind of topic, so it was really good. I knew it was risky. I knew it was a startup and it will be top or flop, whatever. Right. But on the other hand, I had my other business plan, my plan B, my backup plan already in the drawer. So this was the elleXX business plan.
We're going to talk about that in a second. So then you joined CNN Money Switzerland, but the plan didn't work out because the company basically went bankrupt shortly after you joined. So how did you handle that on a personally professional level, but also on an emotional level? I can imagine that must have been quite a shock to handle emotionally and professionally.
Yeah, it was. Actually, I was kind of mentally prepared that it could collapse. But when you have to go through bankruptcy and all that, it's completely different as you would have imagined. You experience like fathers or mothers crying and staff borrowing money to each other because they didn't get any salaries anymore. And it was like really tragic to see all these people suffering so much more of course than me, because I just joined, so I didn't have all these emotions and history with the company. So for them it was much more emotional even, and then it didn't stop with the day of the bankruptcy, because then it just started, and the most of the people, they couldn't speak German, so we had to navigate them through the whole bureaucracy jungle, and that they get their money back, and yeah, this was really tough. Yeah, that's
a really intense time, as it sounds. And basically, you were then you just joined recently, but you were part of a venture where the plan didn't work out, and nevertheless, you then decided to start your own company. Wouldn't that be sort of a motivated to go far, far away from entrepreneurship? Or ask differently, why did you then decide to start your own company despite going through that episode recently?
Yeah, it really, it's might seem from outside, it might seem not very logical, but from the inside, it was a really logical next step, because it kind of really encouraged me to try it on my own and to do it better. I've seen that that there have been wasted millions of francs based on a bad business plan, or basically no business plan. And I just knew I can do better, and we will have a better business plan, and will be more cost savvy if we found this new company. And this experience made me even stronger and more aware of the risks there and costs of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And you actually already wrote the first business plan of elleXX back in 2017, but then you only, of course, put it in practice after the CNN Money Switzerland episode, and also when your two co-founders, Nadine and Simone, joined you. So first of all, how did you meet your co-founders? Can you share that story?
Yeah, I met designer and creative director Simone Züger at the Media Women event, actually there. She's a member of a board there. I was excited. And then I found out she's actually an expert for digital emotions, so transforming emotions into the digital space. So I found that really fascinating, and how she managed to do that. And she was also holding lectures about gender just design. I was really electrified by her. And then I met her and introduced after this, it was back then, maybe 2018, 2019, and I showed her the idea, and she was one of the first people who immediately got the idea. And she kind of gave me eyes, because there was this business plan consisting of 70 pages, and of course it was the standard business jargon. But who could visualize that? Together we designed and wrote this pitch deck, the first one, 2019, and with this original pitch deck, we kind of really funded and did the seed funding. We were kind of ahead of the time, I guess.
Amazing.
Yeah, but she really did that. And on the other hand, Nadine's story is very similar and complementary to mine. As a political journalist, she was writing about all these equality topics more from a legal perspective. I had more an economic perspective, and she was an absolute topic leader on these equality topics. And we both felt like never being part of the solution. We just describe problems and were alarming in our articles, but we've never been part of the solution. And I think that's what really we didn't like her. I knew her for years, actually. She's a good friend of mine and a close friend. And when I introduced the idea and the pitch deck then from Simone and me to her, she immediately saw the potential. So it wasn't actually a discussion, and she since then was on fire about the topic, because it can create impact, it can empower women and enrich them and really close the gender wealth gap.
So for you, it was really time to shift the gear, not only to talk about the issues and the problems that are out there, but to actually build the solution to the issues out there in the world.
Absolutely. It was something also Simone experienced as designer and entrepreneur. She still has her design studio, which I think is very important for an artist and designer.
Right.
And as an female entrepreneur, she was really not pleased with the solutions, with the consulting she had. And also Nadine didn't like the solutions on the market. The advantage with Nadine was also that she's a lawyer. She's not only a journalist. So I would recommend every startup to have to recruit someone in the founding team, or to have someone in the founding team with a legal background. All this contractual work with big corporates, all these corporations, this needs such a lot of legal work.
Absolutely.
So it was the biggest part. Sometimes it was just working on the contracts. So many pages in English, and so it was really a lucky punch that she was so enthusiastic about it and had this complementary profile to mine, because she's from the legal stuff and I'm, as an economist, I'm more on the financial and economic side of the topic.
The financial inequality between men and women is still so big here in Switzerland. Can you give us a bit more perspective how big this problem actually is? Because for some people, they might not even realize how big of a gap we have here.
Yeah, so I mean, don't be afraid of the figures. So hold on,
hold your horses, yeah.
Because no, but it's really, it's worst case. 56% of the women in Switzerland, they can't take financially care of themselves. So crazy. That's really crazy. So it's huge financial dependency, and this really keeps women small and up.
And if you think about that big number, what actually led to that situation? I mean, that's a huge number. How did we get into that mess?
I mean, you know, like the Swiss women gained the vote right like really, really late, even in the 90s in certain cantons, 51 years in other cantons. It's after Afghanistan internationally. But what's kind of worse, as it comes to financial literacy, is that Swiss women, only since 35 years, they can open a bank account without the signature of their husbands. So that's only one generation to gain some kind of financial literacy and to manage your own finances. So this is, we are nowhere here. And maybe that's the irony of the history, that now such a company is founded in Switzerland and not in another country.
It's about time, I would say, certainly. So then, of course, also the question arises, okay, it's really a big problem that you're addressing here. I mean, that's certainly something that needs to change, because if you're not in control financially, you are basically sort of controlled by someone else, probably your husband or whoever. So the question is, how do we actually get there? What is the solution to change that and to reduce that percentage to a much lower amount of women being financially, not independent, but actually dependent?
Yeah, this is our really dream and goal, close the gaps with our vision. We have it instead of this news ticker or the stock market tickers. We have closed the gaps. That's inspired by the Bloomberg media platforms. And so it's not like you have all the figures there, but it's close the gaps. Right. And the gender wealth gap, it's stubbornly wide still. And also in the pandemic, if you look at the situation, women dropped out of the workforce above average. And at the same time, men stayed invested, and it boomed at the markets, also in different categories. So it even has widened. So we really want to take action and close this gender wealth gap. According to international studies or gender gap reports from WEF, it will take over 100 years to close that, to gain financial equality between the genders or gender equality. So we hope that we can close that much faster now via elleXX, but it's such a lot of work to do, and we have courses, of course, to teach financial literacy. We have lots of information on the page itself with research, interlinks, so people can inform themselves and start to research and just get more information about this kind of topics.
So would you say it's a fair assessment to say that one of the big challenges why we still have these gaps is because women don't invest, or not enough women actually invest, and therefore take their finances in their own hand?
Yeah, that's the gender investment gap is also huge. It's really kind of, there are different studies, but also in Switzerland, the men are invested. It's like double than women, and they're like really. It was really the biggest wealth driver were the stock markets in the last couple of decades, and we shouldn't forget about that. And so it's in our system right now. So it's the factor capital is much more boosting your wealth than capital labor. So that's really important to understand, and and in times where we do not have any interest rates anymore since the 90s, and now even maybe inflation is coming back, and I mean you just lose on your cash deposit, and so there is no alternative. And we always say, like, investing is the new saving, because you just lose your money on your saving accounts.
And that's a really big problem, because then you even, this inequality, this gap gets wider and wider, right? So the question here is, how can you change that for the women out there? Do you need to have more education to make it, easier and easier to access for the women to invest? Do you need different products? Or where's really the biggest leverage where you should start with your company, basically, to tackle this issue?
Yeah, there are different things. And education, financial education, literacy, it's very important. And we have this elleXX Money Hacks courses, and we are doing webinars or finance boot camps with our partners. And we could even already, we are a baby, actually, only like 12, 13 weeks old, but we could really teach over 1,000 women already about financial literacy, about the ABC of investing. And on the same, at the same time, we wanted to provide products. We wanted to make all the products along the financial life of women till the pension. We wanted to create them more female friendly, more equal. And for example, it's always very important to think about the pension age. And this is really a no-brainer product, this 3A product. Lots of people, expats, don't know it. Who invented it? The Swiss. I think worldwide there's no such clever product where it's from publicly incentivized by government that you privately save or invest for your pension age.
And you can deduct that from the taxes. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And people don't know that. Still, lots of women don't have 3A insurance. So that's actually both. We're providing both. It's a multi-channel.
Exactly.
It's really a multi-channel approach.
Yeah. First, educate if there's not enough know-how yet, but then also make sure that you have access to the right products to actually get investing.
Yeah, and the journalist approach, so that you have information, independent articles, which explain it, make it understandable. And that was really the market potential. In a recent study of BNY Mellon, for example, showed that 86% of the wealth managers directly target men, and 75% said that their investment products are male-related, completely male-related. And a BlackRock Investor Pulse study showed that 86% of women don't feel addressed by the usual content of the financial industry. And that was completely our market potential and our chance. And on the same time, you kind of really have to blame the financial industry that they kind of really neglected female clients. Also, even men don't feel very addressed by the content and the design. That's also true, but in a bigger number than females.
Right.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's clear what the problem is. There are so much more men invested than women. And I also wonder, by this male-dominated industry in the financial services, etc., but also in general, as a female-centric business striving for gender equality, I can also imagine that you always face some backlash from people who still hold some sexist views. Did you experience any issues or challenges in that regard when you launched elleXX?
Yeah, all the time. And I experienced that since I'm really advocating for equality topics since 20 years now. It started, of course, social media. It's all the time you get these trolls army, and now with elleXX as well, you have the same troll armies attacking you, starting shitstorms about your platform, but also media platforms, right-wing platforms or sexist. female unfriendly platforms attacking you, writing articles about elleXX, about the products, about my person in a very unfair, violating and insulting way. I mean, we're just a startup trying to help and trying to be innovative, disrupting the business model and trying to build something with our own money. So why do they have to attack us? We're not actually attacking them, so they can do their stuff and try try to do their business in their way. So it's just so unbelievable. And they even started to attack our Google ratings. So it's there all around, all these trolls and writing bad comments and ratings. And every time on these social media platforms like Twitter, I have to report new trolls. Yeah. But on the other hand, like with this new social media policies, they accept a lot of these reports, and then it's over for this kind of hacking style. And
at the same time, you're out there with your personal brand, so people know you from TV. You are also a well-known personality here in Switzerland. So now we talked about the cons, basically, of getting all these attacks. I can imagine there are also some pros, hopefully, where you can leverage your personal brand. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there is an advantage if you already have a name and you're a public person and people know you. And I mean, community growth just blew our minds. We couldn't believe it. Within 6 weeks, we overtook competitors like old media, financial media brands, but also fintechs, which have been there for years on the market. And we are very strong on social media with our community on Instagram and LinkedIn. So it's already a couple of weeks we gained on all the multi-channel options like 17,000 followers within no times. And that's of course very important also for our investors, that you can prove the proof of the pudding. So is there really a community and people interested in your products, in your services? And this is a big advantage. And we often also say bad news are good news too. That's
people talk about you.
People talk about you, and we see it on the traffic. So when we were when there were like bad headlines or sexist headlines about us, it was quite we were quite nervous about the platform because we had so much traffic that it's just but we passed
we stay
that
online.
test.
Hopefully we stay online.
We passed that test, so
amazing.
That's a good feeling as well.
But I think that's a really great example on how to leverage your personal brand then also into a business, because of course you have to be authentic. And I think you really are the perfect example for that. But then this is also very attractive from an investor's perspective, because they see, hey, you bring the authenticity, you bring your personal brand, and now you build a media company around that specific financial topic. That's a really interesting investment case.
Yeah, it was always a little bit the idea of social investing. It's not only me, it's also Nadine. She was very active on social media and had her followers, and she had a big network. She's also co-president of Women. That's a movement where men and women together try to work towards equality and push it in a good way. And that's, of course, a big advantage if the founders already have a community and followers and just have a topic, they stand for it. So it's topic leadership, because that's, I think, what matters more here is trust.
Exactly. One thing here is you don't offer the products directly yourself. You have partners that then actually offer the insurance or the financial products. Why was that the right setup for you? Was that because of the huge regulations that you would have had to take on to launch your own products?
Yeah, and also we are coming from a media business, and we are still media platform, and we have these cooperations with partners, and as I said, our competence, our strengths are in content and design, and our partners, they have a lot of competence in financial product, in asset management, and it's also a bit too vain to think you're good at everything.
Right.
So you need the right people to work with and the right partners. They have an expertise as well, and for us it was very important to find matching partners, ethical partners, which didn't have any scandals or money laundering stuff or speculation cases or lawsuits or anything, which is not so easy.
I wanted to say, it's not that easy to find that in the financial sector.
Exactly, in the financial sector. And we've chosen to work and collaborate with Migros Bank because they don't have any bonuses anymore. So it's not a rip-off bank. We found that very impressive. And on the other hand, it's Vontobel. It's a private bank, but it's family, really traditional bank, but with the family and the new generation there. And the biggest shareholder is a woman. And that's not so often either. And they're very digitally fit. That was really interesting as well. And for the Legal Protect product, which is, I would say, one of the most innovative products we have. We work together with big corporate Allianz. But the good thing was, I bought this Legal Protect as well, because that's our statement and we stand for that. It's our word that we invest in these products as well. And look what happened. That's irony maybe, but after just a few weeks, I had to use this product, this Legal Protect, because of the sexist media stories. And now the whole campaign I can finance because of this product, because I have Legal Protect. If you think about other cases of discrimination and so on, Natalie Urwieler, that's a doctor. She has a long lawsuit against salary discrimination, various sorts of discrimination, and her process was costing her 430,000 francs already. Yeah. So it's impossible to go against mobbing, discrimination, salary, if you don't have legal protection. And that's something also we think we can make a huge impact if also young career starters get it. When you start working, you need a legal protect, because all this working staff related legal stuff, it's also with pregnancy later and salary stuff. A lot of females suffer from it.
And since you're a media platform and don't build the products directly on your own, you have partners for that. People also wonder, what is your business model? How do you make money? Because in the end, you have investors, you're a company. So how do you make money with elleXX?
Glad you asked this question. You're the first one asking this question. It's just all the time in the media about our personalities, or it's never about business, and that's a pity. We kind of had to disrupt the media business model. The media sector is really hit hard by the advertising volume, which is really dropping and shrinking, and everything goes to the big US social media platforms, all the advertising business and sales. So everyone is struggling since years, and they had to reduce workforces. And Nadine and me, of course, we experienced that very closely. Right. So we had to disrupt the media business model. How do we finance the content? And we have one pillar, there's with membership. Mm-hmm. So it's like a subscription of your content behind paywall. There's not much, there's really a small part behind the paywall. It does some tutorials, video explainers, checklists. But on top of that, you get like templates or checklists for all these 9 money gaps. And you get discounts for female branded products and platforms. So it's a whole package. It's not just a simple subscription for content. It's much more. So we kind of invented this membership package. It's a new way of having memberships in the media sector, and luckily and interestingly, we earn most with this membership. We first thought, okay, this is really going to be difficult. Who's going to pay for content, and why should they do that? They want to have everything for free.
Right.
Do they think do they see the value of that or not? And we said we have to try, because we think it's important and we want to create important content. And that's us, that's elleXX, to have this content. Content is king. And they actually are willing to do that and support that. And on the other hand, as you said, we have our product side. So it's not the topic side, it's the product side, where you have all these white label products. They're called like our platform, our brand. So you can find our trackers and investment products if you like Google elleXX. Gender equality, you find it on finanzen.ch or wherever, and you can actually also buy the product wherever you want to. And there's also, because we collaborated on that, we have an advisory fee as well on equality topics, how we made the selection of the titles, and that's actually also finances the content as well. So it's the product part, and we behind the scenes we're developing more products, and along the financial life of women, we also think, there's in the insurance area as well. There are so many products to innovate to make it more female friendly. So it's a huge universe.
Absolutely. And I also like that particularly because you basically build your own leverage to a certain degree. So, people usually talk about leverage by having other people working for you. That's people leverage, or capital, where you have investor money and then you invest that in, hopefully with a high return. But what you basically build is media leverage. So your content can bring you more customers in terms of memberships, but also in terms of product revenue. And I think that's a very powerful business model, which is a perfect fit for the day and time we live in.
Wow, this is really nicely put. I've never thought about it this way, but it's this media leverage, and we're just observing the whole sector struggling so many years and trying to find new ways, and randomly just pushing all this advertising, and we didn't want to have all this advertising destroying our nice design and our nice content. We didn't want to have it, and we said, okay, but if we do advertise anything, then we want to have products we co-developed, especially for our target group.
Exactly.
And not just some random products which nothing to do with your philosophy, with your unique selling proposition or what you stand for. So it's really something maybe confusing as well, because it's a new model.
Absolutely. It's new, but also with a huge leverage. So it has a huge upside potential in the long run. At the same time, if you look at the Swiss market size, we are not the biggest country. So what is your take on that? Is Switzerland too small to build a nice business around it with your model right now?
Yeah, it's at least a wealthy island to test the market, and people are more open to invest, even women. If you compare it to other DACH countries like Germany or Austria, they even have a lower participation on the stock market. So people are like really careful there and a bit anxious. It changes with the new generation as well. So they're much more open-minded to investing. Great. Coming also bit of all this crypto wave, of course. Young people are more interested in that. But we always knew we have a platform, and this one will be scalable, and we need business influencers, journalists, editor-in-chiefs in the corresponding countries, and they can manage the platform from their countries with their local specific content. And we're actually working all around the clock about concerning the DACH expansion to
Amazing.
Austria and Germany. In the business plan, it's at the end of the year, but maybe we're even faster. Of course, we're ambitious.
Great. And I also think that Switzerland is a perfect starting point. And once you've proven it here that it works, you will just expand to the other markets.
Absolutely. It's now we needed, of course, these figures. I think the first seed round was the most challenging one. We didn't have any clients. You don't have a single client. You just have pitch decks and nothing, maybe a little bit of, you can show a demo of your platform, but nobody knows if it works. And of course you can do UX testing and see that they respond quite well. But the thing was also always that they didn't believe us that it's for all women. Because we always said we have the same path, the same career breaks, same problems with motherhood, part-time working. So this not linear CVs,
right?
And that unites all the people. And then during UX testing, there were like 22 old students or young women, and they said, "Oh, okay, that's very." They want to really attract young people, and oh, cool, and so. But wait a moment. This is something for my grandmother as well. So nice. I have to show her. And that's what we thought about. This really, in our elleXX courses, we have participants 20 years old, which really get it. Okay, now I have very long horizons to invest. I have to do that. And on the other hand, we have 60-year-old women who said for 20 years, I don't want to think about my financials, but now I want to do it.
That's beautiful. I think that's the perfect feedback that you could ask for.
Yeah, it's intergenerational.
Exactly. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, when you switched from your journalism job to entrepreneurship, there was also quite a change in terms of lifestyle, so to speak, because you had your steady income, your secure job. We all know entrepreneurship is not like that. It can be very volatile. There are ups and downs, and you probably also have to cut back on your salary from what we're used to before. So how do you handle that challenge? Because you have a family, you have kids, and that's probably not an easy decision, or at least not the easiest to take.
Absolutely. And it's easier for younger people and younger founders because they didn't have these salaries. They haven't been so spoiled by big salaries already. And now 14 months, we didn't pay us anything, and we invested all our money into the company. And now, of course, we pay a startup salary, which is 3 times less, at least, than what I've earned before. And it needs really also a family supporting you and a tolerant family. And I was so used to really pay our bills as well and just make my own money. And now you have, you're cost savvy and you really, it's a time where you have to cut down a lot. And this might be more difficult when you're 44 than when you're 24.
Is that something that also stresses you out sometimes, where you think, shit, how am I supposed to get out of that? Or how am I supposed to pay these bills?
No, actually, I think we have good partners, all of the founders. Yep. So they're okay with it. And they knew this is also a huge upside potential, and we believe in it. Our partners all believe in it as well. I mean, there's always a strong man behind a strong woman.
And also the vice versa.
Yeah,
luckily.
And vice versa. And they're supporting us, our families, as well. Without them, it wouldn't be possible, because we all have children, all the founders, and it's a phase of your life which is probably the most expensive one.
Yeah. And now it's basically time to invest, not only in your family and your kids, but also in your company.
Yeah.
And hopefully with nice future returns.
Absolutely. And I mean, we already managed the first seed round.
Right.
And as soon as you finance and close that, it gets better because you at least can pay out a normal salary that you can finance your basic needs, and that's good.
So we're already talking about the future. We heard that there is still a lot of work to do here in Switzerland when it comes to gender equality, and we also learned how you're going to contribute to that. What are the next milestones that you want to tackle? What is your plan for the near future?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many plans. We talked about the DACH expansion. Mm-hmm. We want to go to Austria and Germany. We've just launched the English version for the expat community, a completely underserved market. I can't believe that nobody's really targeted them in the financial service industry with this 3A, with this special product. There are lots of information needed to improve that.
So a very exciting future ahead. And I could imagine you probably also have to raise funds again, because after the round is before the round, they always say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the year, we planned a new seed round. Now it's, of course, much easier because you have numbers and you can prove your business case, your community growth. So it's absolutely, you can prove it, proof of the pudding. And it really, I'm so happy that now female venture capitalists reach out to us and are interested and talking to us, because it was so difficult before we've launched to reach these few female venture capitalists, because there are so few, and it's over 90% male, of course. And we had male investors, but luckily we could find 2 female investors as well. And now they even proactively approach you, and I couldn't be happier. Fantastic.
Now, we have 2 very last parts for you in this interview. One question we always like to ask our guests is, what resources or gadgets can you recommend to our listeners? That can be anything from books to blogs, podcasts, whatever you can recommend. Anything comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, good books. The Bible of elleXX is, of course, the XX Economy, or the elleXX Economy from Linda Scott. Really amazing content, and she inspired us to name elleXX with a elleXX. So the elleXX Economy, and what the economy misses out, because whole workforce is missing, whole female workforce is missing globally seen, and the GDPs could be much better if we would integrate this part of the human beings into the economy as well. And another book I've really liked was Influence. That's very fascinating, and it's more from a psychological sales point of view. I think this is very interesting for startups.
Also backed by very nice studies. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's really mind-blowing, so I love that.
Is this psychology or manipulation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was mind-blowing. And of course, I'm inspired by Bloomberg equality topics. They have a whole topic theme sector where they talk about equality. I like that. Financial Times, Economist. Yeah.
Great resources.
Plenty of stuff really to read, and which are interesting.
And for the very last part, we have some rapid fire questions for you. So I either give you an option to choose from or a short question, and you have to answer in 1 sentence.
Oh, in 1 sentence, okay.
Ideally. We are not that strict on that one. So you're ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Journalist or entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur.
Easy choice?
Yeah, it is, right? Because I've been writing this business plan for years now, and so many pages, and it really absolutely is my wish dream.
How many hours of sleep did you get last night?
6.
What's your favorite investment?
The investment in my brain. I've always said that journalism is paid learning.
That sounds like a sweet deal, for sure. How do you relax and also take care of yourself?
You better don't ask this question. I'm just grateful that my family is so tolerant and they know this is a very special time in my life and very intense time, and it will change sometimes maybe.
So it's just a phase. That's good.
Yeah.
And the last one for you, what's your one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self?
The world belongs to the courageous.
Amazing. I think that's the perfect sentence to end this episode. Patrizia, thank you so much for coming over and coming on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you. Lots of success and all the best for the future.
Lots of success to you as well. Very interesting questions, challenging. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.